Oi, Pedro.
Oi, Arnold.
How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm super happy to have you here.
It's my honor and my pleasure to be here. Thank you very much for the invitation.
Come on. That's my pleasure. So today my guest is my very good friend Pedro Munari. He's an associate professor at the Production Engineering Department of the Universidade Federal de São Carlos in São Paulo, Brazil. Pedro has led numerous successful research projects with grants from funding agencies and has developed applied projects with several companies in Brazil, with a specific focus on OR and logistics. His research interests include exact and heuristic methods with emphasis on column generation technique, branch cut and price methods, and decomposition techniques for large-scale problems. Pedro publishes papers in very important OR journals like Transportation Science, Mathematical Programming Computation, EJOR, CNOR, and so on. In addition, he has made contributions to the field by introducing formulation and solution methods for challenging deterministic, stochastic, and robust combinatorial optimization problems, such as vehicle routing, lot sizing, cutting, and packing problems. His Ph.D. dissertation received the prestigious Doctoral Prize for the best dissertation from the Brazilian Society of Applied and Computational Mathematics. Pedro, once again, thank you so much for accepting the invitation. I hope to have a very nice conversation with you today.
Thank you, Arnold. Thank you.
Okay, so let's start. Pedro, you were born in 1984 in Ribeirão Preto in the state of São Paulo here in Brazil. So I'm 1 year older than you. I know many people in Brazil prefer to call you Munari. It is an Italian surname, right?
That's correct. Yeah. I remember when I was a kid, my great-grandparents speaking Italian. They came from Italy. I don't know exactly the region, probably close to Verona. And yeah, it's for me, it's really nice to have these roots in Italy. And for example, every time I go to Italy, I feel like home. Going to Rome, going to all those very nice cities. I really feel good there. So for me, it's really nice to have this Italian root to somehow belong to this Italian culture.
Very nice. Your name is Pedro Munari Jr., but your mom also has an Italian surname, right?
Yes. My mother is Franzoni. It's her last name before I get married with my father, of course. And so I have the Italian roots from both sides, right?
Very
But since
interesting.
I have the same name of my father, it just plugged the junior in the end. So that's why I don't have her last name, but it's also an Italian last name.
Okay. Would you like to speak a bit about your parents?
Yes, sure. Well, my parents are both from Ribeirão Preto. Actually, my mom was born in a city nearby, Ribeirão, but then she moved to Ribeirão. She was very young. And my father was born in the same city. And well, my father is from a family with good financial condition, yeah, middle class family. So for him, he could go to a good school and then start a university. He didn't finish his course because then he started work, he got married, but he studied law. But in the final years, he just gave up. And my mother was not in that good situation, so she was low middle class, right? And but then they got married, and then I was born. And during my first years of life, we have a good condition, I have to say. So I attended private schools, yeah. But then at some point, my father lost his job, right? Brazil was in a very, well, you probably remember that, we are at the same age. Brazil was in a very bad time. There was a crisis in the late 90s, I think. And then, well, we see a lot of unemployed people. So the unemployment was big at that time. And then my father was one of the victims of this at that time, so he lost his job. I have a lot of people in my family that lost their jobs too, my uncle and so on. And then from that point on, things started to be complicated in my family, in my life, because my father couldn't get another job very easily. He had a good job. He used to work in a bank, in a very rich bank, those banks of VIP people. And then he had a good salary at that time. But then when he lost his job, he couldn't find a job at the same level anymore. And then the jobs he got later was paying really, really lower. And then things started to be complicated for us at that time. So in private school, he was always, he was not able to pay this anymore every month. So, things were late when he was paying. A lot of bills started to be late to pay, electricity. And then we were in a bad time. But at that time, for example, my mother was a housewife. And then she had an idea of opening a shop to help my father with the bills. Very good idea because she was somehow successful in that shop. She opened this in the late 90s and the shop is still open. It's a home decor, some handcrafted things, and even a flower shop. She was doing the flower herself. And she was very good. She's still very good on this. And then the shop was quite popular. And then things started to get better for us. And then later on, my father got a job, and then things started to be good. But during the late 90s, the beginning of the 2000s, then you were in a complicated situation. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So things started really well for you, but then down the road, because of the situation in the country that led to many people being unemployed, that posed a challenge for your family. And you have a younger brother, right?
Yes, the younger brother, 8 years younger than me. And the fun fact is that he went to the same university as me and did the same course. Yeah, he is computer science, and he's still working in the area. Yeah, somehow I think I inspired him to do that because I was going back to home during the semester or during the school holidays, and then I always had some assignments or problems to solve from from my disciplines, from the subjects. And then he was together and seeing that, and he was challenged by the things I have to solve in the computer. And then I think he was inspired by that.
Very nice. And other than going to school, how did you used to spend time in Ribeirão Preto in the 90s?
Okay. Well, at the beginning, when I was a kid at home, playing with friends from the neighborhood, but watching TV. But then one thing that I didn't mention is that when my father lost his job, we had to move to a poorer neighborhood. And then because then we could pay the rent there. And then in that neighborhood, it was really common for the kids to play in the street. It was not common in the richer neighborhood, but in the poor neighborhood it was. And then it was really nice. It was for me, as a kid, that was amazing because I could just open the gate, go to the street, and then play with a lot of kids, play soccer and then ball games and then video games when we were at home. And that was nice because we were at the street playing or somehow in the house of each other playing. It was really nice. Mm-hmm. And the government had a lot of programs for, motivating kids to do some sports. And in this neighborhood, they have some soccer school. So there was a guy that every week was there to teach soccer and then, have the kids playing soccer. And then I was attending this for a long time. So it was my fun during the 90s.
Uh-huh. You once told me you used to play keyboard and a bit of guitar, didn't you?
Yes. In the beginning, of my life, my mother registered me for, keyboard lessons. It was really nice. Actually, the idea was to play accordion. She wanted me to play accordion because she liked the sound. And then when I went to the school, the guy said, okay, first you are too small. You cannot hold the accordion. You have to start by playing a keyboard. So I'll teach you keyboard. And it was really nice because I love music. And it was really, good to do that to me. It was my introduction to music. And it was really nice. And after that, when I was a teenager, I started to learn acoustic guitar, by myself. Yeah, I just took some things on the internet, the websites, and then I was trying to learn by myself and with friends. I used to buy those magazines. I don't know if you remember. It was quite common when we were teenager that you can buy the magazine and then learn how to play,
Yes.
Guitar, and then you have the lyrics and then all
the chords the chords would be like exactly. Next to the lyrics. Yes.
So that's how I learned that. And another thing that inspired me to music was that I'm from a Catholic family, so my parents are Catholic, and they used to go to church every Sunday. And then I used to go with them. And at some point, I felt that I wanted to sing. I want to help, in the singing of the mass. But one day I went there and said to the people in the band, say, okay, I want to play with you guys. I want to sing. They said, oh, come on, you're more than welcome. And then I started to sing in the church too. And it was really nice because it was more like a band. So you have 2 or 3 people playing guitars and another one playing a kind of drum and people singing. And then I started singing that in the church. And also was another way of learning how to play guitar. And that sometimes I was playing the drum. I was playing everything that they need. Because since you're in a band, you start to learn this, And also, I told you I had friends in the neighborhood that we grew up together. At that time, it was since I knew how to play those things, and we started to sing in the street. Sometimes we went together, and then we started a band. We said, okay, let's record this because nowadays you have cell phone, you have the computer, you can record things quite easily. But those that are from our generation or earlier, we remember that at that time we don't. In the 90s, if you want to record something, you have to have a tape, and you have to have a stereo that records, that has a mic. When you have a mic in your stereo, say, "Oh my God, I can record things." And then I had a small one. My mother had one. And then I said, "Guys, let's record it, right?" And then we sometimes go to a room, and then we close everything, and then we start playing and then singing songs from that were playing in the radio.
What type of songs were you playing?
It was pagode. Well, for those that are not
kidding
from
me?
Brazil, for those that are not from Brazil, pagode is somehow a type of samba. It's a more, commercial samba that, was really, really a hit in the 90s in São Paulo, I think in the whole country. But in São Paulo, you have a lot of bands playing pagode, which, as I said, it's like a samba, but samba is usually about life. It's about, good things. Pagode is more about suffering in the heart. You break up with someone, all those type of songs, that people are suffering in love play. And that was really nice because we had fun playing that. I still have the tapes. The problem is that I don't have how to listen to the tape because we don't have, tape players anymore around. But once I get one, I probably, make it digital and put it somewhere.
Okay,
just for fun.
I'm a bit shocked now. I'm more into rock music and so on, and let's say I'm not very much into pagode. It's like let's say a corrupted type of samba.
Yeah, it's somehow influenced by the neighborhood I was living to. It was a poor neighborhood, and then everybody there was playing or singing, enjoying pagode at that time. And it was on TV. It was quite popular for those people in Brazil. They will remember that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And even nowadays, they do this type of concerts that they put all those good music from the 90s together again, and then they play it, and people love it because they have memories of that time.
I'm not so sure it's good. I'm not so sure it's good music, but yes.
But it's fun. It was fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Pedro, you mentioned that you used to study in private schools, but with your father becoming unemployed, did you still manage to attend private schools, or you had to switch to public schools?
No, I remained in the private school. Yeah, I stayed in the private school. My father could not pay anymore the tuition fees, because it was every month. It was high for him. At that time, he was not employed anymore. But then what he did was, I used to stay in the school in the afternoons after my classes were during the morning. But then there was a room there in the school for people using computers at that time. We're still talking about the 90s. It was not common to have a computer at home. People do not have cell phones or so. And then in this school, was a private school. It had also some, it was a college together. There was some courses for, university courses and so. And they have this room, a computer room, for people go there and then, use the internet, use, Microsoft Office, and all those stuff that people, could not do at home at that time. And then I started to go there too, because I was really interested about computers at that time. It was something completely new. I was really enthusiastic about that. And then there was the opportunity there. There was the guy that was running this room, was the manager of the room that worked, was the staff of the school. He started to notice that I was good at computers, and I was also not using the computer, but also helping people close to me, right? And then, well, it's good to mention this guy is Roberto Barini, also an Italian last name, you see. And he was, really nice and said, okay, why don't you start to work here with us? Of course, he couldn't do it himself. He had to convince people from the school. And then it was not easy. So sometimes he has to fight for me there because I was only 14, 15. Come on, the people from the university or from the school were saying, okay, come on, how can you have a guy, a teenager of 14 years old, helping people that are in the university? They will not respect him. They will not, be happy with this. And he said, no, he's a good guy. He understands very well. He's kind with the people there. He can help a lot. Then after some point, he could convince people there. And then they got me a waive in the tuition fee. So I was paying only 50% of the fee. Yeah, so for that, my father could afford for a while. But then after some time, it was difficult again for him to pay only half of this. And then I talked to them, and then they said, okay, we'll give you 100% of waive on this. You don't have to pay anything for the fees anymore if you keep working with us. And after that, after a while, when I was, I think, in the last year, they were also paying for my books, for the material they have in the courses there. So I was studying in the morning, working in the afternoon until 6 p.m. and then to get these waves in the tuition fee.
Right.
Yeah.
So
and it helped me a lot to stay in this school. You know that in Brazil, private schools tend to be better or more complete than state school or the public schools. Unfortunately, it's getting better. But in the 90s, you have this big difference, in the quality of the education. Yeah.
Yes, there's a gap for sure.
Yeah.
I'm impressed that you had to start working at the age of 14, 15 to help the family and so on. So probably that gave you an interesting perspective of life at an early age and how to be responsible. And I'm sure that helped you later on in your life for sure.
One thing that I forgot to mention is that I was working in this computer room helping people, but also at that time people were not very not have skills, a lot of skills in computer. It was something new, and they have to type their homeworks or their master dissertation or their thesis or things to deliver in the courses, and then they were paying people to do that. And then also did some freelance jobs that I was just taking, the manuscript and then written by hand. And then I was typing this for people and then they were paying me, money for doing that. So I was getting money to pay things for me and sometimes helping my family at home, paying one or another bill. Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very inspiring. Did you have a computer at home at that time?
Well, I did. It was a very rudimentary, because I think I got this as a gift from someone. I think a friend of my father, that knew someone that had a computer, and this person was getting a new computer, and I think they just gave this computer to me, or they sold this for a very cheap price. But it was very, very, a simple computer that sometimes was a 486.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it had Windows 3.11. And then, yes, it was amazing. Well, for me, it was amazing because it was my computer. And then I could do anything I want with that computer. I opened this, I replaced cards. And then I tried to install the new Windows version. for me, it was fun. For me, that was really, really nice to have this. And I used to type, all those homeworks I told you to get some money, extra money. And after that, then when I get some money, I could buy a new one. My father helped me, and then we could buy a new one. But yes, I had a computer. We didn't have an internet at that time because, you have to use the landline to use the internet. And then if you're using this during the day, you pay a lot. You pay by minute. But if you use this after midnight, you only pay like 1 minute, even though you spend hours. And then, of course, during the nights, I could use this, and on the weekends. But yeah, it was not like today that have internet, all the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember that very well.
Yes, you know what I mean. Yeah, but for the youngsters, watching us, they have no idea what is this, right? How is to live like this? Yeah.
Yes. And sometimes all the connections from the provider will be, let's say, busy. So you have to keep on trying to get the connection.
Yes, that's
so
true.
It was not that okay, let's use the internet. No, there were some obstacles and some competition for having the chance to connect, and it was not that straightforward.
It was a time that you have to tell people, "Oh, I'm going online now," and then you go online. Yeah. Then you're saying to your friends, "Guys, bye-bye, I'm going offline now," and then you become offline. Nowadays, you are always online.
Yes.
Right? It's basically impossible, almost impossible to be offline today. Yeah.
Pedro, you finished high school in 2001, and I assume that choosing to study computer science at university was a natural choice, right?
Not at all. No, it wasn't. Yeah. Well, even though I was working with computers, I was good at computers. I had the idea that I was working with informatics. I was helping people, using the computer. I had the knowledge of, sometimes fixing computers, the hardware and so. But I knew that computer science was a different thing, right? It was more about programming and so on. And then for me, I was afraid that would be some kind of choice that I was making just because I was, on the flow. Yeah, I just working with computers, then I'll do computer science. No, for me, I didn't want to do that. I really wanted to think, well, what is the course? And I was good in several subjects during the high school. And it was not his choice. So one of my applications was for business administration. So yes, completely different. Yeah. At the University of São Paulo in Ribeirão Preto, my hometown, the city I was born in. The other one was computer science in the State University of São Paulo in São José do Rio Preto. And then computer engineering at UFSCar, the university I work now. So I applied for these three different courses. The first one I failed miserably because it was, the exam to enter. The first phase, okay, it's just alternatives. You have just to mark an X on the answer, on the correct answer. But then on the second phase, you have to, questions that you have to write down, and then for me it was difficult to do this about history, about geography, because I was good in math, I was good in physics. Okay, but then computer science, I was approved in the State University in the first list, in the first call. And at UFSCar, I was approved, but only on the fourth call, right? And then, I just took computer science. I said, okay, yes, computer science is my destiny, yeah. Now I have to thank God because it was a good choice. Yeah, in the end.
Absolutely. You went to São José do Rio Preto, so you went to another town for your undergrad. How did you manage to survive there?
Yes, well, because the university there, the state, São Paulo State University, has a program for poor students that need some financial help. And so I have the student dorm there, so I didn't have to pay for staying. It was the student dormitory from the university. I have to pay anything. And they also gave me a scholarship, for food, for, just to live there, just to survive there. And it was fundamental for me. Of course, in the first months, I didn't have their scholarship because it's a process. You have to apply. They have to analyze of people that apply. And then I got a job. In the evenings was the high school I studied in Ribeirão that was working. They have also a school there in São José do Rio Preto. And they got me a job there. They were really nice. I told them, oh, okay, I'm moving to that city. The guy said, no, we have a job there for you if you need. Just let me know. And then they really offered me the job during the evenings. Similar job, to stay in the computer room helping students. But then once I got the scholarship from the university, I had to quit. But I was really grateful for them. But something important to say, I think that this type of program that the universities have, of offering the students dormitory, offering scholarship for students that really need, this is fundamental in a country like ours. It's fundamental to encourage students to go and to stay at the university. I can say that if I did not have that, I would have come back to Ribeirão Preto. I would not have stayed for school because my parents could not help me at the time. And even though I was working in the evenings because my course was during the day, and it was not enough money to pay for a place and food and so on. And I had a lot of people at the student dorm at that time were in the same situation, that they were there, because they have this support from the university. Otherwise, they would not be there. So this is something really, really important. And I'm really happy we have this in Brazil.
Right. I agree with you. Is it true that you struggle to learn how to code?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah. Well, during my first year at the university, it was not easy to learn how to program, how to code. I had no contact with programming, before entering the university. And, programming is, at least for those that did not have contact with this before, it's kind of a completely new thing. Our brains are not prepared to that. At least mine was not, and most of people in the same year as me in the university, they were in the same situation, right? We have one or another guys in my year that they knew how to code, but they could code well, but because they started before entering the university, learning how to code is really, really tough. And I have difficulties. So during, my first programming course, I suffered a lot. But then to overcome that, I tried to look, to study and look for projects that could help me with that. I mentioned that I had this scholarship for helping students, in a poor situation. And one of the requirements for having this scholarship is to have a scientific initiation project, a project with a professor, research project. Of course, it has to be simple because it's the first year. And then I looked for a professor, and then I said, wow, my main challenge here is to learn how to code. And then I'll talk to the professor, to the teacher that is teaching me programming this semester. And the professor was Enzo Serafim, was my first supervisor in the university, and he was a very good one. He was finishing his Ph.D. here in São Carlos at the University of São Paulo, and he was teaching there at the State University. And it was really nice because he was very patient. He was very also, motivated to teach. And he gave me a very nice project, the implementation of B3 in C. B-tree, for those that are not aware, is a balanced tree that we use to search in database systems. And, it was really nice because you have to do a lot of movements to keep the tree. The tree is a data structure in the memory. And I have to learn a lot to code that because we use pointers. So for me, it was really, really, and he was quite close. We were meeting every week. He was quite close. And then this helped me a lot. And in my second year, I continued a project with him. And then we changed the subject a bit to XML. And XML was something new at that time. And we wanted to have the website of the department, of our computer science department, all written in XML. And then we apply some, style sheets to become an HTML in the web browser. And then this was all new. And then we studied this. And then at the end of this project, we came up with the new website of the department, all in XML. And it stayed there for almost 10 years until it was replaced for something new. But I was quite proud that, this project ended up in the website that was online for a long time, I believe.
Yeah, I'm starting to realize that every place you go, you leave a mark. From your high school, now starting the undergrad and getting involved in relevant projects like that. It's very impressive. Did you come across optimization during your undergrad?
Yes, we had a course on that, introduction to linear programming. But also I was really enthusiastic about, using computers, using algorithms to solve math problems. I attended the course of numerical calculus, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all those algorithms to solve, really, really nice math problems. I also attended a course on numerical methods for differential equations. And I was really, really interested on that. And then one day I went to the computer lab we have at the university, and there was a call for a scientific initiation project in optimization. And what really caught my attention was that you were saying, with scholarship. I said, okay, come on, two things that I really like, because I like optimization and at that time because of the courses. But then I was also interested in a scholarship because I said I had this scholarship that provided for, students in need, but it was not that big. And, the scientific initiation real ones from the agencies were bigger. Then I said, okay, so let's talk with this professor. And then it was Professor Geraldo Nunes, and he was actually my second supervisor in the undergrad courses. And we worked with optimal control and how to solve optimal control problems using Runge-Kutta methods, all these numerical methods. And it was really, really tough at the beginning because I didn't realize that optimal control was so heavy in maths. I didn't realize that, maths could be so difficult like that, because then it was more like really theoretical, close to pure maths, have a lot of theorems, a lot of, background that I did not have at that time because I was in computer science. So it was a tough project, but that I enjoyed very much because it was really, really interesting learning about, optimality, how to check optimality, duality. All these were things that really excited me. I like it.
Yeah. But the theory behind optimal control, as you said, is quite complex. So how did you manage?
Yes. Well, one of the ideas of my supervisor at that time was, okay, if we're struggling with maths, so we should attend a math course, a really heavy math course so you can learn it. And then he suggested me to apply for a summer school in real analysis in a very good institute that we have here in Brazil. It's the Institute of Applied and Pure Mathematics. It's in Rio de Janeiro. And they are really, really serious there in math. It's a very strong institute there.
IMPA.
And then IMPA, yeah, the famous IMPA in Brazil. And then I was there in 2005, for the summer school. And for me, it was really, really, something completely new because I didn't imagine that, maths could be so difficult like that. But it was a nice experience. So I was doing real analysis in one of the best, institutes of maths in the world. But I learned a lot. And this helped me for sure in that research, but also for my life, because even nowadays, if I have to prove something or if I have to read a proof, it's not a problem for me anymore. Of course, I will not do this as like a mathematician, but I have, the knowledge to do that, and I'm not afraid of doing that. I have no blocking in doing that, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's fascinating to learn about how you acquired the background to contribute not only computationally, but also theoretically in your research work. I mean, I was not aware of all of that. And now I'm starting to understand how you became so good in this type of things. What did you do after graduating in 2006?
Well, it was, again, something that I was not sure of I should do. I didn't know if I should go for a master in, applied maths, a master in, computer science in the core, or if I should go for a company. And what I did was, okay, let me try the experience of going to a company. And then I started working in a company as a programmer in the same city I graduated. And I have to say, it was not a very nice experience because for me, I was expecting other type of job, or at least I was expecting to learn, to keep learning. because I always, loved learning. During the undergrad, I was learning all the time. But then when I started working as a programmer, I was just, applying everything I knew. I was not learning anything new. And this was quite frustrating for me, right? And then I started to think twice if I should go back to the university. I started to take classes on, there was a master program there, it was a new one in the university I graduated. And I started to take classes there. And then for me, it was really, really nice. I was motivated again because now I could learn. I was really, really excited about learning new things, studying. Then I felt that I was back to the place I like. And then at the same time, the company I was working was not good. So so I said, okay, I'll go back to the university. And then I quit the company and I started to get some money because I needed money. I got some freelance jobs, doing some programming here, a website there, and it was enough money to pay the bills. Then I decided, okay, I should go for a master now. And then again, I was not sure where. And then I applied for the University of São Paulo here in São Carlos, was one of my options, because come on, this is one of the best computer science programs in the country here. And
even in Latin America, I would say.
Yeah, sure. And I applied for IMPA, for a master in IMPA in optimization. In both cases, optimization. And for IMPA, when you apply for a master at the time, you have to go to a summer school. So I went for a summer school again, now in linear algebra. And then after that summer school, I got an offer from IMPA for be a master student there with a scholarship. And an offer from USP, from the University of São Paulo here in São Carlos, for being a master student there too. The scholarship was the same, it was a federal agency, so it was the same in both. I had good supervisors there. In Rio, IMPA was Alfredo Yusen, that would be my supervisor, with a big name in nonlinear optimization. And in São Carlos, Marcos Arenales, a big name in linear optimization. But then the scholarship was the same in both cities. And Rio, we know it's very expensive to live there. With the scholarship, I would struggle to live there. And in São Carlos, the scholarship was enough to live, and live considerably well. Then I decided to stay here. And also it was closer to my parents' home. São Carlos, it's 1 hour far from Ribeirão Preto, where my parents were living. And Rio is, 12 hours by bus from Ribeirão Preto, so that's why.
Yeah, but it should have been a tough choice because IMPA it's very prestigious institute, and then USP is a top university in Latin America with a very good program in computer science. So it was almost like a Sophie's choice for you. Maybe it's very, very hard.
It was not easy. Yeah, it was not easy at all.
And what is the subject of your master's project?
It was efficient implementation of the simplex algorithm. Right, Professor Arenales at that time, he was working with simplex method. Actually, his thesis was on the simplex method, different variants of the simplex. And then he was still working, one of his research branches was this simplex algorithm and efficient implementations, because they had new ideas. And at that time, the solvers, we have simplex at that time, basically. And you didn't have the free license, the academic license. So if you were in a research project, it doesn't matter, you have to buy the license. And it was quite expensive, especially for Brazil, that you have to pay in dollars, and was not easy at all. So all research done here, you have to implement your simplex, your branch and bound, and do everything here. So at that time, they have this aim of having their simplex algorithm, a very good one, for solving the problems and having new ideas and testing new ideas. And then I started helping in this project. It was more like a master project for, background for learning than, guided for publication. So there was no pressure for publication, at least at that time. It was not like today that, a master student has to publish a paper. Otherwise, oh, come on, what did the guy do during his master? It was not like this. When I was in the master, there was no pressure. Of course, if you publish, good, but there was no pressure. And then for me, it was really nice because I had the opportunity to learn a lot of the simplex, a lot of linear programming. I remember I was really reading a lot of very good papers on this topic, and then it helped me with my background. If I had focused on publication, probably I would not have learned that much.
Yeah.
So I was quite happy with this because then again, this paved my way. So when I went for the PhD, I had a good knowledge of linear programming that helped me a lot.
Yeah. Implementing the simplex method for good, it's extremely challenging. There are a lot of issues. There are a lot of tricks going on. It's not just taking the simplex from the textbook and implementing. So I can only imagine how challenging.
The textbook algorithm will not solve the probability, the linear relaxation, of course, they will not solve it. Because you need a lot of tricks, a lot of effective techniques, smart things to make it work well. And that was my master, learn how to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and in around 2008, when you were doing your master's, you went on an airplane for the first time, and the destination was João Pessoa.
João Pessoa, exactly.
So unfortunately, we did not meet at the time, right? You came for the Brazilian OR conference.
Yes. It was my first conference, big conference in Brazil. And it was in João Pessoa as a coincidence, right? We didn't know each other at that time. And it was also, as you mentioned, the first time I took a plane. So, and come on, my first time in the Northeast in Brazil. And I found it wonderful. I was in love with João Pessoa. I didn't even imagine that I would come back later to visit you there, but it was really, really nice.
Yeah. You started your PhD in 2009 at USP.
Yeah.
Did you keep working on linear optimization methods?
Yes. Well, now in the PhD, I was in pressure for publishing. I have this idea now. Then I said, okay, if I keep working with the simplex method, it will be difficult to publish. But then interior point method, people are still publishing on it, warm starting strategies, how to solve the linear equations there. And then I said, okay, so I should include also some interior point methods here. I kept some of the simplex also because we had new ideas. Once I had all the framework implemented, now I could try new ideas. And then my supervisor had new ideas for that. But also I want to have an interior point method to implement. And also how to combine these strategies with column generation. It was a really hot topic at that time, Branch and Price, had a lot of very nice papers going around. There was that nice survey of Lobeck and de Rosier that was during this time. And then, it somehow called people to work more on that. And then I wanted to have something related to column generation together.
Mm-hmm. Pedro, you spent the entire year of 2010 in Edinburgh, in Scotland. How did you end up there?
Okay, yes. Well, as I mentioned, I wanted to have interior point method in my thesis, right? And that time, Professor Reynolds was working with simplex method. He knew interior point method, of course, but it was not one of his focus of his research. And then he said, okay, you should go abroad. You should visit some expert interior point methods. And then we started look at the literature. Of course, I knew papers from by Jacek, and I wrote to him. Actually, we had two options because we were reading papers from different authors. One of the options was going to the US, to Florida, and the other option I had in mind was going to the UK, Scotland, working with Jacek Gondzio. And Jacek was the first one we wrote to him, and then he accepted. And I was quite happy because, come on, I was not expecting this because I didn't know him. My supervisor didn't know him. And when you wrote to him, he was very kind and answered and accepted to host me there. And, it was a time that it's not like nowadays that you just have a call, meet, or Zoom, and then you get to know the person. No, everything was on email. You did not have the chance of chat with the person before this. So I was quite happy that he accepted.
Mm-hmm. Was it your first experience abroad?
Yes, it was the first time I was living in the country, and it was amazing. It was nice. It was in Scotland, a very different country from Brazil, and I was quite excited because the first time in another country, a different culture, a different language. So it was not only the professional or the academic side of it, it was also the personal side because I get to know new people, learn how to live in a different culture, in a different society. Uh, was good because I was going during my PhD. I get to know the other PhD students of the department there. So we started to, have share some time together and then while learning new language. It was amazing. And then I really, really missed the time because I had good friends there. Yeah.
Yeah, I sensed that this was a game changer for you, probably, right?
Yes, totally, totally. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
At least from well, as I mentioned, the personal side completely, you never come back the same when you go for such a long trip like this. So that's why I motivate my students all the time. Say, come on, you have to go abroad. You have to stay a while there because you'll never come back the same.
Yes.
Your perspective of life, your perspective of your culture, even your family, the way you deal with people change
Yes.
completely.
Yeah.
Right, so
Yeah.
it's important. And I always motivate my students to go abroad because you never come back the same. And from the academic perspective, it was really, really good for me. It somehow paved again my way, on the research that I'm still developing even nowadays, right?
And what did you work on in Edinburgh?
Was combining interior point methods and column generation. Right at that time, as I mentioned, column generation is still a hot topic. People are using it a lot, branch and price methods. But 99% of people using the simplex algorithm to solve the sub problems or the restricted master problems you have in column generation. But come on, you have other type of linear programming algorithms, and interior point methods are a big class of very effective and efficient algorithms. But people still keep using the simplex, right? So our idea was, okay, what if we want to use interior point methods in column generation? Is it better? Is it worse? Can we get some benefit? Can we not? Should we give up? To have an idea of that. And then I think it was really nice because Jacek had worked with this in the past when I arrived there. And then the idea was now to improve improve his method, and solve problems that were popular in this community, in the column generation community at that time. It was, of course, the co-routing problem, the cutting stock problem, and lot sizing problem. So we implemented, the root node of solving all this using column generation, using interior point methods to solve the restricted master problems. That was the project.
Right. You returned to Edinburgh for 3 months in 2012, right?
Yes, yes. So again, there was a scholarship for going abroad, a different type of scholarship. I took that because then we're still working together. I have another paper to finish with Jacek, and then I use this time to work closer to him. Yeah.
Right. So you still kept on working with interior point methods for column generation and applied to large scale problems, I think, this time.
Yes, yes. The first paper we got published on EJOR was during my first year there. It was for those three problems I mentioned. Right after that, we went one step further and then applied this to solve the VRP, but now using interior point method in the whole branch and price tree, to branch and everything else. And then this third one, there's a third paper to solve large scale problems, even nonlinear problems. And then this is the one published on M.Sc.
Yeah. Do you have any idea why this method is not as popular as one might expect?
Yes, that's a very good question, but I think it's just because it's a change of paradigm, right? As I said, people are used to just apply simplex method because it's there, just run it and the solver have it well implemented for you. And it's just not as simple as replacing the simplex by the interior point method, because the methods you have now, they are exploring the benefits of the simplex. But interior point methods have other types of benefits and advantages. So it's not like you just replace. Of course, if you're using interior point methods now, you should not go for optimality. You should start earlier. But then where should we stop? How much is earlier? How to define earlier? And then you have to be adaptive with this. And then you see that's a lot of things that you have to do to explore the real benefits of interior point methods. And it's not straightforward. So people would have to do that. But all the papers, all the experiments we did with interior point methods, we got very good results. I have even collaborations nowadays with people that are applying these ideas, implementing the interior point method themselves, and they're still working better, especially if you want to stabilize column generation.
Mm-hmm.
But as I said, it's a change of paradigm. It's a lot of programming involved. So I believe this is why, it's not it's still widespread.
There's this technical overhead, but also there's the cultural
yes
issue there, right? What did you learn with Jacek Gondzio?
Jacek, it's an amazing person, first of all. So for me, I learned how to be a researcher with him, I believe, how to supervise the students, because he was that, type of supervisor that meet every week and then tell you the tasks and you can talk. And then I have to, every time we went to a conference, we have to present the talks for him. And then he was always mentioning where you can improve. So Jacek was really someone that was very important for my career, for my research, because I learned a lot from him, a lot. I tell people that he's good in everything. I know he's good in coding, he's good as a teacher. I attended his classes as a teacher. He's good at in research. He's an amazing person. So I admire him a lot. Yeah. And for example, every time I meet him, it's really nice for me. I met him, recently in the conferences, and I'm always happy to chat with him.
So he was like a role model to you, and it clearly influenced you quite a lot.
Yeah. That's it.
Mm-hmm. And what about Marcos Arenales? We in Brazil are really familiar with the name because he's the first author of this very famous book in Brazil about OR. So Arenales, Armentano, Morabito, and Yanasi. They are big names in Brazil, and unfortunately, Armentano, he passed away recently, and Reinaldo Morabito was in my jury, my PhD jury. I like him very much. So, how was the experience of working with Marcos Arenales?
It was very good too. Yeah, I was quite lucky of having him as my supervisor in my master and my PhD. When I applied for the master's and I knew that he was my supervisor, I was quite happy because, as you said, he's a big name in linear programming in the country here. And I also learned a lot of him. I remember attending his classes, perfect classes. He was a very, very good teacher, always careful with, the preparation of the classes. Was also, very close supervisor. And he's a very nice person, very nice person. He was always concerned about the student, not himself. So, all the time he was looking for what was best for the student more than what was best for him. And I remember when I was finishing my PhD, and then there was this job application for a professorship. And then he said to me, you have to apply for that. And he said, I don't know. I still have one chapter of my thesis to finish. I said, no, your thesis is good enough. It's already good. You should apply for it. And he was right. And he gave me the right advice. And also, he was the one responsible for all the scholarships I had, of course. And he was the one that wrote to Jacek. So come on, my career depends a lot on all his supervision.
Yeah, so he was very supportive.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. You graduated in early 2013, and your PhD thesis received an award from the Brazilian Society of Applied and Computational Mathematics.
Yeah. Yes. Well, for me, again, a very, very nice surprise. I was not expecting that. When I finished, I said, okay, let's apply for this. I saw the call. I said, why not? Let's see, right? And then one day I got the email. I couldn't believe it because I respect very much the society. Every year I was seeing, all the people that were getting the award, and were really, really, really nice, dissertations, really nice thesis. And then I said, it was amazing. It helped me a lot. because every time I apply for, a project or anything, people mention, oh, he got the prize for the PhD, and then he helped me a lot. So it's something that I'm quite happy to have achieved.
Yes, I know the feeling.
Yeah.
And what happened after you received your PhD degree?
Well, then I started working as a professor at UFSC. Actually, I was approved in the admissional exam before finishing the PhD. As I mentioned, I was in my last months of the PhD. I saw this job position was open at the Federal University of São Carlos, in my city now, in the same city I was doing my PhD. But it was not in computer science. It was in production engineering or industrial engineering, right? It's how we call it here in Brazil. And I said, well, production engineering, I'm not from this background, right? I do not have this background. But then they opened this for everyone in computer science, math. And I applied for this. I was not expecting to get approved. But in the end, I got the job there. And then that's when I talked to an analyst, and he said, no, come on, you finish with this. Well, we have good chapters. Actually, I had my chapters two of them were published already. Then I finished the thesis, and then I started the job 1 week later.
Mm-hmm. How was the transition from being a PhD student to suddenly becoming a faculty member with a wide range of responsibilities?
Well, it was not easy at all, right? Because in the PhD, we're never prepared for being a professor, for being a faculty member. But then when you start, you have, get a course that you have to start teaching, you have to learn how to teach, and then you go there with all those students in front of you. And also, you have a lot of bureaucracy to solve, you have a lot of meetings, committees, you have to go and decide about, how to use the money or what should we do with that student. Anyway, so it's a lot of new things. But I think that I went well because, teaching was something that I really, really like. And even supervising students was starting doing that. And for me, it was a very good experience. I had I was lucky to have very good master students at the beginning, very good PhD students at the beginning. It was a pleasure for me to supervise them. And the first classes that I have to teach in the undergrad were very, very nice too. They were very smart students. They were following everything. They were really excited about the classes, asking nice questions. And this motivated me to, prepare the classes even more.
Mm-hmm. Pedro, you became one of the leading experts on robust optimization, not only in Brazil, but also on an international level. When did it all start?
Oh, come on. It's all on you. Yeah. I'm just starting. I'm still starting on it, right? And well, when I started working at the university, one of my colleagues, Professor Reinaldo Morabito, one of the authors of the book you mentioned, he's my colleague there. He's the head of my group there, the OR group there. And he went to a conference. I don't remember exactly which conference. I think it was a Euro conference. There was a plenary talk by Dimitris Bertsimas, on robust optimization, the paper, The Price of Robustness. And then Reinaldo was really, really enthusiastic about that. He said, oh, come on, this is a very nice idea for decision makers. Now they can use it as a decision tool. He's still considering uncertainty, incorporating uncertainty into the problems. And then when he came back, he started to discuss this in the group. He had several students working with this in their thesis, and I was co-supervising these students, and then we started working together in robust optimization. And of course, I was working with VRP at the time, and then one of the ideas was to try to see if we could use, robust optimization in VRP problems for the VRP variants we were interested at that time.
Mm-hmm. And talking about it, you have a very interesting paper titled The Robust Vehicle Routing Problem with Time Windows, Compact Formulation, and Branch Price and Cut Method that was published in Transportation Science. And it has been very well received by the community. Could you share the story behind this article?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, well, as I said, we were working on ideas to incorporate, robust optimization in the VRP variants we're working with, and the VRP of time windows was one of these variants. And at that time, we started working with this. There was a call for collaboration projects between any university in São Paulo state with any university in the UK. So at that time, I was still working with Jacek, and then I don't know if he sent me or I sent him this opportunity. Then I said, well, let's do something. Let's apply for this call with the topic VRP under uncertainty. And then we can start the idea of using all our framework and then extend this to the VRP under uncertainty. And then we started this project. From our side, it was my group there together with Douglas Allen. Douglas Allen is now a professor at the University of Edinburgh too, but at the time he was a professor at the Federal University of São Carlos. And from Jacek's side was Jacek and his group there. And then we applied for this, and then we got the grant. I was quite surprised and happy because I was at the beginning of my career and getting this grant for international collaboration. And then this grant was for a visit. So I visited Jacek twice. And then he visited us here in Brazil twice too. And during this visit, we're working this paper. The main idea of the paper was having a branching price for the VRP, return windows under travel time uncertainty, also the demand uncertainty. And then one day we're working the branching price, and then we got the results and said, okay, we need to be sure these results are correct. So we need some model to test this. And then I asked my students, guys, we need some model. Can we just implement a quick model there just for comparison, even in small instances, just to see if we're getting the correct result? Then they implemented this, and then they said, oh, professor, we did here, look at the results. They said, oh, nice, so the results are correct. But what models you used? Because it seems that we're solving larger problems than I expected, larger instances than I expected you to solve. Oh, no, it was a very simple model. Then they showed me, and I said, oh my God, it's not very simple. There's a very, very nice idea here. And then we started to work more in this model because I spotted there was something good there. And then the model was, in the end, added to the paper because I think it was a very nice way of modeling, VRP under uncertainty, and it's one of the nice contributions of the paper, the branching price and this compact model.
That's excellent. Yes, that model is pretty nice. Very ingenious way of modeling robustness in VRP. So yeah. Pedro, I have heard some people criticizing robust optimization, claiming that it's over-pessimistic in practical scenarios. What is your take on this, and could you also comment on promising avenues of research regarding this topic?
Yes, well, come on, when you're using robust optimization, right, the level of robustness you can adjust. I think this is one of the most beautiful things. So if we're doing something and it's over-pessimistic, it's too pessimistic, it's because you have to change your parameters or have to use it in the correct way. Because I think that if you just use a deterministic model or deterministic version of your problem, if you're solving it, you're being too optimistic, right? Because you're assuming that the exact values of your parameters will be true, but come on, this is not true. And sometimes this is the reason for people getting frustrated when they try to apply, they solve a deterministic problem, they get the solution, they try to apply, for example, vehicle routing. And sometimes they say, oh, come on, we cannot use this, optimization cannot work in practice. You listen to this a lot, but why? Because people are solving a problem and assuming that things do not change in reality, but they change. The travel time will not be exactly 32 minutes. In practice, you can have a traffic jam or something else. The demand may change. There's a lot of things happening in real world. And if you solve it, assuming the deterministic is true, you are being too optimistic. Of course, there's a level to adjust to not being too pessimistic, but you cannot be too optimistic. And you also asked about promising avenues. Well, I think we're just starting with all this. And there's very, very nice papers going on very recently on distributionally robust optimization, which combines now the use of, probability distributions in this field. So there's a lot to come more. And then I think most of them, the main focus of people should be on trying to make it more practical, more close to the decision makers. But also there's the need for making it more effective, more efficient from the computational side.
Yes, more computationally tractable.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So I think this is the main challenge now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you. What motivated you to go to Georgia Tech for a sabbatical in 2019? Not that you need a lot of motivation to go there, but
Yes. But at that time, I had a partner who was going to do a postdoc in the US. And then I said, okay, I'll go together, of course, and then let's see for a place to go there. And then I started to look at MIT, Georgia Tech, of course, the places that are more famous in our area. And I had a few people in mind. And then I was attending, during that time, I was also attending a conference, ISMP, in Bordeaux. And I had the chance to talk with Martin Salversberg there. I attended one of his sessions. He was coordinating, was the chair of one sessions. I attended there. It was a very nice session, very nice environment. And then I talked to him later, and he was quite open. He was very nice. He was quite receptive. We were talking, and he was open for a visit when I mentioned that I had the opportunity to go. And when I was back to Brazil, I just wrote to him, and then we decided on the project. And then I applied for the grants, and then everything worked out. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it was really, really good because Martin is a very nice person. Wow, amazing researcher, and working with him was a game changer again. I learned a lot from him. We're meeting basically every week, and he was working really, really close to me during the papers, during the implementations, analyzing the results. He was available all the time, and I learned a lot from him. Yeah.
Very nice. There you had a chance to teach a couple of classes, right?
Yes, it was an amazing experience there. I was not expecting to teach there, but then Martin had the need to go away for some personal reasons, and then he asked me to teach 2 classes, I think. And it was really, really nice because it was the first time I was teaching in English, right? It was a very different experience. It was really nice because it was the first time I was teaching in English. It was a different environment, different people. The way you teach in Brazil is one way, and the way you teach in the US, in Georgia Tech, is different. You have to adapt yourself to the way the students react. Sometimes you have to ask something. Sometimes you have to make some joke to make the class more, light, make the class lighter. And it was really nice. They received me very well. At the end of the class, they came talk to me. Oh, I really enjoyed the class. Thank you. And for me, it was a very nice experience. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really proud of you, Pedro. Actually, that was really something. Just to go there and teach a couple of classes at Georgia Tech, considering all your background and everything that you have to overcome to be where you are. I mean, it was probably very, very important to have that experience in your career, I think. Could you talk about your work on the split-delivery VRP?
Yes, it was the work I developed with Martin when I was there. Well, it was not the topic of the research project we wrote. The idea was to work with some VRP under uncertainty using machine learning. But, our first ideas, experiments, nothing worked well, at least not as we expected. And then I was working in a side project with Martin. I was working with one of his PhD students in a company project. He was very nice to put me in this project too. And in this project, we were solving a very big problem. And one of the sub-problems of this very big problem was to solve a VRP with split delivery. But then when I looked at the literature to find, a model or a formulation just to try to solve, because it was a small instance, because it was a sub-problem, we wanted to solve it by model or just to get some initial solution. But then when I tried to look at the literature and find a model for that, I couldn't, at least not a model as we are used to have in VRP, Xij variables, if the vehicle goes from I to J. All the models had the index K, the vehicle index, And we know this is really, really bad for the formulation because you have a lot of symmetry, the linear relaxation is really bad. And then I said, oh, come on, it's not possible that there's no formulation for that. And then I started to look literature, as I said, and I found a paper by Stefan Irnish and Nicola Bianchessi. And they were saying, okay, it was about the VRP time windows and split deliveries. And they were saying, oh, it's not possible to have a formulation without the vehicle index or with an index representing the number of the visit. I said, come on. And, it really challenged me. I said, how come this is impossible? I don't believe it. Impossible. I was a bit tough on that. And then I said, let me try. And then I started to have an idea. And when I was, there was a conference, a MIP workshop. I was in the US, and then I attended this MIP workshop. It was in Boston, it was at MIT. And that week I was trying to come up with this formulation. And one day I was in the library, one of the libraries of MIT. And then I get the idea. I said, okay, what if instead of using 2 index, I use one more index, but not the vehicle index, but another customer. So it's still a 3 index variable, but each index is a customer, because this would help to formulate the problem, to have a compact model for the problem. And then the idea worked well, because even though, as I said, you have 3 indices, they're not the vehicle index. So you do not have those symmetries problems, linear relaxation problems. And then I came up with one formulation, and then after talking to Martin, we came up with 2 other, and then it was a very, very nice idea we had together there. And then when I came back, I just discussed this with Martin, and then I had the idea of 2 other models for the problem, and then we just start writing the paper. And I think in 3 months or so, we had everything done, all the writing, all the experiments, and we submitted it in the paper. Yeah, I was quite happy with this outcome.
That's fantastic. You had really a very fruitful period in the US. Yes. And recently you went to Germany for another sabbatical. What was the motivation this time?
Yes. Well, as a fun fact, my partner, decided to go for a time.
The same partner or the different partner?
Not different partner.
I can see a trend there.
Yeah. Well, he was going for a time abroad, doing his PhD. And then I went to go together. And then he was going to the city called Jena in Germany. There's a very nice university there. It's a big university. Students from all the country go there, at least from the region there. It's quite popular. And I started to look, for people that I could collaborate there. And then, to my surprise, I found one of the first I found was Nils Boysen. And I knew Nils from the papers, of course, but didn't get the chance of meet him. And he was the first one I wrote. And he was quite receptive. He was really, really nice in answering. We made a Zoom call. I told him all my motivation, what I want to do. And he came with the very nice idea for the project. And then we started doing, all the bureaucracy for this. And then in September 2023, I went there to visit him for 6 months. And it was a very, very nice time too. Nils was an amazing host, and he has a very nice group there. They were also going for lunch. They were all the time there. I gave a seminar there. And also, since I was in Europe, it was close to visit other collaborators. So I had an amazing time there. And doing research with Nils was really, really nice. We're still working together. And I hope we applied for projects, and we hope to keep this collaboration.
Pedro, we finally met in person in 2018 when Maristela, I like her very much, from USP, introduced us at the Brazilian OR Symposium at SBPO in Rio. The year after, we started a collaboration thanks to Valto Coutinho. Valto was my master's student. I co-advised him, and he later did his PhD at the University of Southampton, and now he's a professor at the Universidade Federal de Pernambuco. And we even made you an official member of our research group. I believe this has been a great experience, not only for me, but also for my colleagues Bruno Bruck and Teobaldo Bulhões, as well as for some of our students like Carlos Neves and Marcelo Cavalcanti. It is a pity that we don't get to see each other more often, Brazil is a huge country, and people might have no idea that we're separated by 2.6 thousand kilometers.
That's true. Yeah, it's really, really far, right?
Yeah.
The last time I went there to visit, I think it was 3 hours or 4 hours by plane, right? So it's really, really far. It's as you said, it's a pity. I went there. I had a very nice time visiting you. So as you mentioned, Valton, I'm very grateful for him for starting this idea of the project we had together. I get the chance of know you, know Bruno, know Teobaldo, work with you together. We're still working on papers, have papers already published, but still have others to come. And your group is amazing. You have, very, very clever, very intelligent students there, and very committed to research, even though, many of them are still in the undergrad. Yeah, they look like PhD students that they are so committed, and you do an amazing job on recruiting them, on finding these students, and also giving them all the background they need to do very good research, very serious research. So collaborating with you guys is something that I really, really enjoy. And also, I know all the difficulty you have here for funding, for sometimes infrastructure. It's a reality in Brazil. And even though you can, do amazing research there, so well done. Congratulations for the group there.
Yeah, thank you very much. You're being exceptionally kind here.
Wait, and I want to visit you soon again. Yeah.
For sure.
For those watching this, guys, you should visit Anand. He's in an amazing city there also. As I said, the research group there is fantastic. So I have the opportunity to work with them, but also to go to one of the most beautiful beaches you have in Brazil. João Pessoa is honestly, one of the most beautiful cities we have in the country. Oh, I love going there. So yeah, I hope to come back soon.
Yes. Thanks for helping us attracting the people to visit us. Yeah, that's true. João Pessoa is really a beautiful city, and I think many people out there should try to come and see us at some point. Pedro, let's talk about your highly successful YouTube channel called Munariflix. What do you have to say about it, and could you share some analytics and impressions from the audience so our viewers and listeners can have an idea about the impact of the channel?
Sure. Well, let me just quickly, tell you the story behind this. I was teaching, and my students were all the time, "Oh, teacher, please, do you have any videos to mention to us so we can look at them to learn more? Or even can you just record your voice explaining so we can listen later?" Because these new generations, they are more oriented to videos than we were. Actually, we didn't have videos at all, right? We didn't have even YouTube at that time. And we're always all the time working, through books. But no, now they like videos, and then when they have to learn something, the first thing they do is they look for a video. And then I said, okay, I was in 1 year, it was 2018. I was in a year that I had a lot of conferences, during the semester, and I said, okay, instead of, rescheduling a lot of classes, let's just I'll write some videos for the class of that days that will not be available, and then I'll give to students. And then I started recording this, and come on, the students really, really liked the experience. For them, it was amazing. I could see they were quite happy with that. And in the second year that I gave these videos to students, it was in the first class. And then I didn't go there personally in the first class. I did only to the second class. But then when I arrived in the second class, I was like somehow a celebrity. So it was, "Hi, Professor, hi, how are you? Hey." I said, "Oh my God, what's happening?" Because, they feel closer to you when they have a video. And also in the videos, for those that know, I do a lot of additions. I put jokes, I put some figures, some, sounds, to make them more,
entertaining.
More catchy. Yeah, more entertaining, and people like that, right? So it was something that that's how it started. But then when I had, I don't know, a few videos, 10 videos, I would say. And then when the pandemic started, and then I said, okay, since I'm recording, since I'm giving all classes, online, why not converting this into videos on YouTube? Because if some some people can learn from them. I had no idea it would grow so much. So you asked for some analytics. I took here some analytics. Since the beginning of this channel, I had almost 500,000 views of my videos. 500,000. I have around 80 videos, so I think it's a lot. And the watch time was 40,000 hours. I was there teaching for 40,000 hours, and I have now 4.5 thousand subscribers. So I'm quite happy with this result. Again, something that I was not expecting. It was just for my students and one or another person that wanted to learn. But I'm quite happy that it's reaching that numbers. And also, it's not only Brazil. Of course, the videos are in Portuguese, so we're restricted, to countries that speak Portuguese. But we were not restricted only to Brazil. Sometimes, I get emails or messages from people from Portugal and even from Africa. I was quite happy that one day I got an email from a student from Africa, and she was saying, "Oh, thank you very much. I could learn a lot from your videos." And I was really, really touched by that, because I couldn't imagine that, I could reach someone, so far away. With this video I did here, in my room here in my office.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, your Munariflix project is a brilliant initiative. I recommend to my students. I know my colleagues also recommend to the students, and those videos are really well made. You put a lot of effort, especially on editing. I know it takes a long time to do that, and the fact that you are getting this much feedback, it's not a surprise for me, because I know the quality of the material that you produced, and I can relate to having feedback from people that are far away from us. And once I got a very nice email from someone from New Zealand saying that the Subject to project helped him a lot, and he eventually got a master's position at MIT thanks to one of the episodes. He saw it and he felt motivated to do and apply. When you do things with passion, sometimes we get this type of results that we did not foresee or even expect. So I can totally relate, and well done, Pedro. This is a great project.
Thank you.
Amazing material for the community, especially for those who speak Portuguese, of course. So now let's change topics. Pedro, since we met, you have always been quite open about having a boyfriend. Were you always confident in openly acknowledging this?
No, not always. Now, come on, we're in a safe situation. I get my job. I'm around 40 years old, so I can openly mention this, right? But it was not always like this, until I think the PhD. I was afraid, because, come on, being gay, being from the LGBT community, you have, I was always afraid that this can impact you negatively, especially when you're looking for a job. Right. So, even people that were working together, they can have some prejudice. It can, affect you negatively. So we always have this concern. Nowadays, I think it's much easier. The society is accepting more and more this. But you remember when you were teenagers, for example, it was not like that. I didn't know anyone that, you don't know a doctor, you don't know a lawyer, you don't know a teacher that is openly gay at that time. It was always hidden, and it was not easy. For me, for example, even to tell my parents, to tell people, it was not easy. It's never easy for the LGBT community, for someone that is gay, to tell their parents. I was quite lucky that when I told my mother, of course, at first she was a bit sad, because she was completely new to her. But after 1 week or so, she was fine with that. But we know that many people, when they tell their parents, the parents fight against the person has to leave their home, and it's not easy at all, right? But for me, at home, it was okay. But I was always afraid to tell people, and it somehow affect me negatively or regarding safety and so on. But now I think we should always talk about this, because, for example, as a professor, I think that I can, if the students know I'm gay, you have gay students in the classroom, they feel safer. They can identify, with you, because being undergrad students, at least in my time, I didn't have any gay professor. So what is happening? Gays cannot be a professor. They are not smart enough. They're not good enough to be a professor. If you're gay and you have a professor that is gay, it motivates you, because that guy has a master, the guy has a PhD, the guy is teaching one of the best universities of the country. So, we can achieve that like any other person. Because when you are a minority, you have a lot of things going on in your mind, and you say, oh, come on, I'll not be good enough. Maybe I'll not get the job, I'll not, be competitive. But no, you shouldn't think like that. So I have, for example, almost every year when I finish the courses, I get some message from students or saying, okay, thank you very much. It was really nice having, classes with you, because I could see a professor that I identify, and it was really important to me. I don't have this support at home, but with you there, I could see that I can be, I can be good. I can be strong enough. I can be successful. So I think it's important. And even in our community, if you go to conferences, you do not have this. And when you are LGBT, it's good to know the other people that are LGBT too, because, otherwise you feel like you are living in someone else's world. That world is not for you, right? And when you see that, oh, come on, there's these people here that are similar to me, it makes you stronger. That's my point. So I have no problem nowadays speaking this, and my students know that, and make sure they know this, right? Because somehow I can motivate them to, or at least inspire them. Yeah, I think this is really nice.
Yeah. I feel a bit sad that in your early days you had to hide this, but at the same time, I'm sort of relieved that now you can speak openly about this topic, and then you can certainly be a role model to many people out there. I believe not everyone is as brave as you, right? In just openly talking about this, especially in some areas in Brazil, can be tough. I know that still, but let's see if things keep on improving. And I mean, we have been experiencing some advances, right, in the society. At least the younger generation, they are now more used to this type of situation, and I just hope we keep moving forward in that regard.
Yes, sure. Yeah. Especially in engineering courses, it's a very sexist environment, and you have gay students there, LGBT students there, and it's important to have this representation there.
Sure. Yeah, we have to respect people and accept them. It's not very wise to try to enforce them to be a different person or try to push them to becoming something that they're not by nature, I would say.
Yeah. Some people really, really suffer from this, have psychological issues because they cannot be themselves. And this is about being yourself, being proud of you. And that's it. Live your life the way you want to live it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And of course, be respected for that, right?
Yeah.
Being respected, of course.
Yeah, sure. Pedro, would you like to leave a final message not only for our viewers and listeners, but also for your Munariflix fans?
Yes, of course. Well, first of all, I have to say thank you, Anand, for the invitation here. For me, it's an honor. It's an honor to be here. All those big names, of those amazing videos that came before me. So for me, it's just big honor here. You're doing an amazing job with this. Before talking about Munariflix, I have to talk about subject too. So congratulations. This is an amazing idea, and you do it with excellence. It's unbelievable. The time you put on this and how you take it really, really serious, with everyone, and the success. Every time I go to a conference now, I was to two conferences, ISMP and Euro conference this year. And every time you talk to people, you listen, something about subject 2 and the videos on subject 2, even if we're not talking about this, and someone always, I saw that in subject 210. I saw that on that video from Anand. So congratulations for this, right? And for the viewers and listeners, I want to motivate them to go for a master, go for a PhD if you are still not there, right? Why? Because we need this in Brazil, right? And you have opportunities here, and we're having fewer and fewer students every year. See that? It's a trend in the world. But come on, we need this. We need people in academia. And I want to motivate people to go for, a master at least, or a PhD, because it pays back, right? It's just a kind of expertise or a knowledge that will help you to get a better job or doing better things. And also the country needs it, right? Every country needs people with this high level of knowledge. So this is my message. And for the fans of Munariflix, well, thank you very much, guys. I was not expecting all this success. And I do hope to come back with new videos. It's been a while I didn't post. So I hope to come back, and thank you very much.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Pedro, for your message. I completely agree that we need more people applying for master's and PhD programs. We need them. We need the country to be developed intellectually, and also when you think about innovation, technology, science, everything is really connected with PhD programs, master's programs, and research in general. And we definitely need more people qualified to do a very good job. And this not only applies to Brazil, but also other countries in a similar situation. So I couldn't agree more with you.
Yeah. You mentioned Brazil, and one last message for Brazilians now. I should say, guys from Brazil, believe in yourselves. Somehow we think that, we're in Brazil, so we are not as good as people, I don't know, in other countries, but we are just good, right? We have less opportunities, of course, but we should believe in ourselves. We can do as good as anyone in the world, right? So go ahead and believe in yourselves.
Absolutely. That's a very good second final message. And yes, once again, I completely agree with you, and I hope people take that message very seriously. Okay? So, Pedro, I can't thank you enough. It has been a pleasure. I mean, finally having you here, it has been just a treat. As I like to say, you were like my Paulista brother. We became very close. I'm really thankful for the collaboration, all your support. And this friendship has been a gift for me in the last years. So I hope that we can keep on, collaborating and interacting and trying to help our community, our country, our field to move forward and produce relevant results in the next years. So, muito obrigado, Pedro. Foi grande prazer tê-lo aqui comigo hoje. Então, grande abraço. Thank you very much. Obrigado.
Muito obrigado, Ana. De abraço.
Tchau.
Tchau.